Morning. So this morning we were going to be doing fourth lesson. I think it's the fourth lesson. We were going to be looking at Luke's account, Luke 2. But it's been a funny weekend. I recorded something, I've even edited it, but I'm not going to load it. So sadly, I just heard this morning that a friend of mine passed away. And it brought the messages that I've been talking to from day 4 much more into relief. So I thought I'd make today simple, just record something while I was walking with my dogs. Luke 2 starts with that declaration. It was in those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that the whole world should be registered. There are cynics, you'll still hear it, who say never happened. They're so 100% out of date, it's almost embarrassing. Tacitus refers not to the edict, but to the results. He talked about how they got out this document, that parts of which had even been written in Augustus's own hand, which documented every single vassal state and every bit of the empire and every person. So we know it happened. Josephus even talks about it. He gives us enough information we can date it. Probably the edict went out in about 8 BC. It takes quite a few years to run through the whole empire, though. And there's even an inscription as well, just a little bit north of Judea, Paphlagonia, which kind of commemorates them completing the process of this registration. It wasn't for taxation, it was about allegiance, but that's another story. But the thing that it really brought home was here we have Caesar Augustus, who called himself the Son of a God, because Julius Caesar was deified. So the Son of God is taking a census of the whole world. And it's into that context that the Son of God gets born. And Christmas is one of those funny times, isn't it? At one level, the story of Jesus' birth is an incredible story of the coming together of family and friendship. We sometimes don't tell it that way, but it's there if you look at it. And that's part of what we celebrate in Christmas, family and friends. But of course, you can never lift that one thing without it somehow contrasting or casting a shadow over its opposite. And so Christmas is often a painful time because we remember friends that we had that we've lost, family members that aren't with us anymore, and we memorialise them. And there was an eternal edict made by a divine Son of a God that registered everybody in the empire, the whole known world. The whole known world. And here's the thing, that the pleasure we experience in the relationships that mean something to us is always counterbalanced or counterpointed by the pain of their loss. And James writes, James the brother of Jesus, who understands these things incredibly well, says, but life is a vapour. And so what hope is there if life is such a vapour? It's here today, gone tomorrow, and all of those names that were recorded in the census, they all got lost in the great fires as Alexandria and in Rome. We don't have those records anymore, but they were there. We know they were there. The early church refers to them. You can go and check things out in them, they say. That great census that wrote everybody's name down. But it probably kind of became a part of why the early church remembered the fact that the Son of God, Jesus, also had a book of life. And actually our names are written in that, and that's the more important question. But there's something beautiful in Christmas that both speaks to the transience of life and yet its eternal value, which is that God chose to take it on. Mark Twain once said he couldn't believe. Well, he didn't say he couldn't believe, but that was what he's expressing. He couldn't believe the gospel because he said it's like when you look at how old the universe is and everything else, because people were beginning to speculate at that point. He said it's like saying that the whole of the Eiffel Tower was built for the last lick of paint at the top. And at one level, he was right, except that the lick of paint on the top of the Eiffel Tower is not much different from the lick of paint down at the bottom. But the pinnacle of life in this massive universe is made possible. The complexity of human life is made possible by the massive universe. You couldn't have the final lick of paint on the top of the Eiffel Tower if you didn't have an Eiffel Tower underneath it. So we have this huge, huge universe, and man seems such a small vapour, and yet he is what God has valued. And not only has he valued it, he's valued it so much he experienced it. And so Christmas brings two things to the fore. Family and friends are vital for every life. Even the Son of God needed nurturing, caring and protecting. But equally, it speaks to the value and the eternal worth. And so we're told at the end of the passage that the shepherds went and told everybody. They declared what they had seen. But Mary treasured these things up in her heart. And person to person, she shared her stories. She shared them at one point with Luke, who wrote them down, and so we read them too. And we're drawn into the moment across the years with the truth of how God came into a vulnerable situation and valued the life that we've got with the life he has. And so that's my hope for salvation. That's my hope for resurrection. And that's my hope for Jason. You won't rest in peace, you'll rest in Jesus. Goodbye, my friend.